How's it going, everybody? This is Cameron White with White Light Astrology, giving you guys your May 2019 horoscope for Libra, Sun, and Rising. Thank you guys so much for being here and liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. We've got a lot going on this month. I think this month is definitely going to be both, a lot of push and pull. I think this is going to feel like there's a lot of obstacles and challenges in our way. However, there's also equally amount of good energy this month that is really going to kind of like get us to the next level, and not just, it's not just about getting walls and barriers thrown at us. This is about getting those walls and barriers thrown at us and having what it takes to overcome those walls and barriers this month. So with that being said, the first thing that we've got going on this month for you guys for Libra is on May 1st, April 31st, whatever, in between those days, we're going to have Saturn stationing retrograde. And this is happening in your 4th house. Now, this is really important because as Saturn's been direct for the past couple of months, I think it's been about 4, 5, 6 months now, Saturn has shown us obstacles and challenges and walls and what doesn't work anymore, what is holding us back and what is restricting us in the area of the 4th house, of your home, of your family life, of your parents, of where you're centering yourself and how you're centering yourself. While Saturn stations retrograde in this area, the Saturn retrograde is basically about, what obstacles and challenges as well as responsibilities has Saturn brought to you over the past couple of months. And this is the time to take on more of those, not only those responsibilities, taking on more responsibilities, but also facing these challenges and facing these difficulties now with a better mindset, now with a better understanding and experience of what exactly it is that you're going to go through and what exactly it is that you have to fix and what you have to address. You can't fix the problems until you know what the problem is. So then the next thing that we've got going on is on May 4th, we're going to have the new moon in Taurus, and this is happening in your 8th house. There's a lot of things happening in Taurus this month, especially with Taurus season going on, and this is a weird area for this, in your chart. The 8th house is just a weird place. However, on on May 4th, we're going to have the new moon in Taurus happening in your 8th house. Now, a new moon is when you have both of the luminaries in the same sign, in the same house. They're both focused on this one area. And this is the sign of Taurus. This is about, replenishing. This is about getting grounded and having security and having foundation and, having a solid ground on where you're at. This new moon is in your 8th house. And the 8th house is a very weird area. The 8th house is about, fears and anxieties. It's about death and change. It's about other people's money, especially if you're, married or in your relationship. The 8th house can reflect your partner's money and what they own and what they possess. The 8th house also has to do with taxes and inheritances. It's an area that you don't always see because it's an aversion to the ascendant, so it's hard to really understand what's going on there. However, the new moon in Taurus is going to be a really good time to kind of reset your intentions and get into a strong, stable ground in that area of change, of transformation, of, your other people's money and resources. If you owe money in taxes or if you just paid your taxes and you're doing good, keep that up. This is just going to be a good time to clean up and clear out that area and give it some spring refreshing. So then as we go into May 6th, 2 days later, we're going to have Mercury enter Taurus, where Mercury is now going to be in your 8th house as well. And again, the 8th house is a weird area, but Mercury is the planet about communication and mindset, how we think and what we're thinking about. It's about like measuring and kind of like more logical stuff. Now, Mercury in the sign of Taurus is wanting us to be more focused on things being fixated, things growing and staying that way. How can we replenish things and make them a little bit better and keep them consistently that way? Now, this is going into your 8th house, of course, of death and transformation, of, hidden things and of secrets and also of inheritances and other people's money. So while Mercury goes through this area, I would definitely expect, some messages, some communication in this area regarding, maybe you owe some money or an inheritance. I don't want to say you're going to get an inheritance. That's super broad in general, but I think you get the idea of what I'm saying. Now, the next thing that we've got going on is on 2 days later, Mercury is going to conjoin Uranus in Taurus in your 8th house. And Uranus is going to go through your 8th house for the next little while. And while Mercury's on top of Uranus, this is really speaking the message of what, Uranus and Taurus is. And this is about getting creative about, your eighth house stuff, which is like, the eighth house is like other people. It's like, if you have a business and you're trying to get an investment, like your eighth house is like your investor almost, in a sense. It's the government, it's taxes, it's it's death, it's rules and regulation. While Mercury is conjoining Uranus right here, this is a time to get creative and experimental with where you're grounding yourself right here. Liberate yourself from this area in the ways that you can. And I think that's going to be really important, especially because a couple days later on May 15th, we're going to have Venus enter Taurus, and this is going to be very positive. So while you have Mercury and Taurus in your 8th house and your mental energies focus on that 8th house area of other people's money, debt or taxes, collections, change, transformation, scary things that you don't always see, Venus is going to enter this area where Venus is the planet of connection, love, romance, value, money. She wants to indulge in everything that she can that's nice and what she enjoys. And when she's in the sign of Taurus, which is her home sign where she can operate the best, she's wanting to connect more on a stable, more grounded, something that holds physical and tangible value to her. And as Venus goes into Taurus, into your 8th house, this is the time of like that 8th house is going to start getting some love. It's going to start getting some attention. This is going to be a time to focus and value on that area of your life. And then the next day on May 16th, Venus is going to conjoin Uranus. So this may be, like a random, money kind of comes into you, or something random, something random happens in that area of your 8th house. Like that is kind of random. But this is Venus in Taurus. This is good. This is good news of growth and, expansion in this area with Uranus being there. Also on May 16th, we're going to have Mars enter Cancer, and this is really important because Mars is going to enter your 10th house. Now, Mars is the planet of action and drive. It's about our energy, what we're kind of doing. It also inflammates, it heats up, it severs, it cuts. He has to do with our frustration and our anger at times. And when Mars is when Mars is in Cancer, it's in its sign of fall, meaning it doesn't operate the best there. It's kind of like, Mars wants to have a clear-cut image of what it needs to do. It needs to be told what to do, and it can totally do it. Or it doesn't need to be told what to do. It'll just do it anyway. When you have Mars in Cancer, Mars isn't necessarily focused on, being energetic and being clear and being blunt and doing things. Mars in Cancer is focused on what's important. What do I need to nurture and what do I need to protect? And as this is going into your 10th house of your career, of the public eye, of how everything's kind of seen, as well as your workplace and your boss, I would expect a little bit more problems going on in your career and in your workplace for this month. Maybe some more frustrations, maybe some hurt feelings. But my biggest advice is, while Mars is going through Cancer, to only have energy for and to take action on the things that are important for you and what it is that you need to protect. This isn't about, offense. This is about defense right now in this area. And I think this is going to play out a lot more as we move forward with the North Node being in Cancer, and Mars is going to eventually conjoin the North Node in your 10th house. There's going to be some changes going on in that area. However, while Mars starts to enter Cancer and starts to bring this stuff up, this is going to be really important to conserve your energy and not make emotionally charged decisions right there at the moment, and give yourself time to think about what it is that you're doing and to think about what you need to protect and what you need to nurture most. Then on May 21st, we're going to have the Sun enter Gemini as well as Mercury enter Gemini at the same time, and Mercury is going to go Cazimi. That's a lot happening on the 21st, and this is happening in your 9th house. Now, the Sun is entering Gemini, where the Sun is the light. It's what we can see. It's what we do see. It's how we're feeling. It's how we're vibing. And as Mercury goes into Gemini, Mercury, again, that planet of communication, of messages, it's also about our mindset, how we think, how we speak, and stuff like that. They're both going into the sign of Gemini, which is Mercury's home sign. It's where it can operate the best here. And Mercury is going to go Cazimi with the Sun right here. So after we had that Mercury retrograde in Pisces, it's now going to get cleared up and purified by the Sun. That's basically what a Cazimi is, when it conjoins the Sun exactly. And this is happening in your 9th house of spirituality, of philosophy, of religion, far distance travel, foreign languages, and foreign places. This is about higher education and publishing and things like that. It's a very higher mindset area. And so while Mercury and the Sun both go into Gemini and goes Cazimi in your 9th house, I think this is going to be a big day of mental clarity, of being able to be like, I finally understand and I finally see what it is I want to believe, what it is I do believe, and I can finally mentally get that picture clear and I can operate a little bit better. I think this is just going to be a very clear day on like what it is that you believe, where it is that you want to go. Maybe if you're trying to plan far distance trips, like go out of the country, May 21st is the day to buy your tickets. I can tell you that much. And then at the end of the month, on May 30th, we're going to have Mercury opposed Jupiter, which this is going to be really interesting because as Mercury's in its home sign of Gemini, it's getting in the logics, it's getting in the not the logics, it's getting in the logic, it's getting the facts straight, it's getting the message clear and what it needs to understand. Jupiter is retrograde in Sagittarius in your 3rd house. And this is going to be a time of like real spiritual thinking of like, hey, you know, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I can do? What is it that I believe that I can do? And what is the idealism? What is the message of what it is I want to say, of what it is I want to spread? And as Mercury opposes Jupiter, this is going to be kind of like, you may have this idealistic picture of what it is that you want to do, but Mercury is going to give you a lot of clarity and insight as to what the reality of what you can do is. And this is going to be a big push and pull of expanding and reality, kind of like, you know, can we go a little bit farther or do we need to stay right here? What do we have? Do we have enough resources to keep going farther is a good way to put it. And then on May 31st, on the last day, we have Venus trining Saturn. And as Venus is in Taurus in your 8th house and Saturn is in your 4th house, this is going to be a good time of where, you know, I was talking about in the beginning, Saturn retrograde in your 4th house of your family, of your home life, you know, what responsibilities are you having to take on? What obstacles and walls are you facing? Venus is trining Saturn where, you know, the 8th house of other people's money, of other people's stuff, of inheritances, of death, of transformation. Venus is giving to Saturn right here, applying to a trine where Venus is going to help you give a little bit more stability and have a little bit more better handle on that responsibility with that 4th house stuff from the 8th house. Like this is going to be really positive for that area of both your 4th house and your 8th house. So I definitely expect something that's very supportive to come for you in that 4th house area. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching and liking and sharing and commenting and subscribing. I'd love and appreciate every single one of you.